Welcome to The Life of You, the bonus episode where we dig into your questions and dilemmas. This week, Helen, Thorne and Emma Campbell are sticking around to help us tackle your biggest running questions. Your questions answered right after this. This is from Claire. Claire says, can you recommend a sports bra that actually works for bigger boobs and doesn't feel like a torture device? I'm also struggling with chafing between the thighs and under the bra. Should I stop if it happens mid-run? And what's a good chafing plan to have before and during a run?
Well, I have had many episodes of chafing, and I have to say, lubricate in terms of the inner thigh. Use your Body Glide or Vaseline. And put that there for your thighs. But under the boob, again, a bit of Vaseline. But I would use a light vest, like a thin vest, and then put your bra on over the top. That has stopped all my chafing. And I do that. And also, I was a G cup, and the bra that I liked the most was a Panache Sport Underwire. I thought that was very good.
People kind of balk when you tell them to wear a wired sports bra. They're like, what?
And they do wired and underwired, but I would say there's a website called Booby Doo, and you put in like your details and you say, I want to do running and I like this, that and the other, and they'll give you, so that and the shock absorber.
Can I just say, as someone with J cups, I am patronised so much by people on the internet about not wearing, you need to get a better sports bra. I'm like, fuck off, this is the best sports bra I can find. Like, because the thing about it is when you have big boobs, you can't, there's nothing you could, unless you kind of literally binding them down.
Yes.
You can't stop them from moving.
No.
So the idea of having like, and I remember when I did that, when we ran that 10K last September, Helen, in our pants.
Yeah.
And I put up a reel that I made like on the way home, and it got watched like 10 million times. And when something gets watched 10 million times, it gets a lot of patronising men and women actually come at you. And it was like, this is, your boobs are not supported properly. You're not wearing a proper sports bra. And I'm like, I'm wearing people are so unused to seeing real women's bodies in the wild that they don't understand how gravity works. Right?
Yes.
So I would say to you, Claire, places like Boobadoo, but also Bravissimo.
Oh, yeah, they're brilliant.
Shock absorber don't go higher than an H, I think.
Okay, yes.
So, but there are loads of places like Elomi, Panache, Bravissimo go up to K, I think. Who else? There are like a number of brands, and they're all, you can find them all on there.
Yeah.
And so you can get wired versions, you can get non-wired versions. If I wear a non-wired version to give because actually the big chafing problem I get is under the wire of the boobs.
Okay, yeah.
Like, don't you find, like I also find, because I've got a belly, like a bit of a belly, it's like the bottom of my bra rubs on the top of my belly.
Yes, yeah, I get that. Yeah,
you know, like that chafing bit there. So the other thing that you can do is like I put sometimes the tape that you use to tape up your injuries.
Yes. I think it's
rock tape.
You can get it very cheaply, like £5 or £6, and it's a bit
super
of a stretch.
You can get
a bit of a stretch. I think it's called KT, like physio tape.
Yeah,
and I do that on my back where the join of the bra is, so I don't get any scratches, and underneath, perfect.
Yeah. But also, I would say trust that while you're, because Claire asked, should we stop mid-run if you're getting chafing? I often find when I'm running, I don't notice I've got it. There's something going on in the body where the endorphins have kicked off. That it's only afterwards you go, oh my God, look at these gaping wounds.
Or I used to find when I went into the shower and I'd be like, ow, because the salt from the your sweat, you're like, that is a horrific feeling. But if you're doing any exercise and you're in pain, stop. Don't feel you have to push through it, because that's silly. Like you, Bryony, I've got it to end of marathons, and like I used to get chafing under my arms.
I still do, because I have I'm still like an 18. And you do get chafing under your arms. Same. Bingo wing chafing.
And I always size up half a size for my shoes. Give yourself a bit, because your feet do
swell.
They do swell.
Like Jamie Lang's.
Yeah.
If you love these chats as much as I love having them, why not make it official? Hit follow so you never miss an episode.
We'd also love to know what you're thinking about the show. Click the survey link in the show description to tell us more. It only takes 2 minutes, I promise.
Right, next question. This is from Tasha. Tasha says, I've never been a runner. I don't have fancy kit. I'm definitely not fit. And I honestly don't know how to begin. I just gave that dramatic effect to Tasha's question. What's the most realistic, no judgment way to start running when you've done absolutely nothing for years?
I really do think, things like the Couch to 5K are the kind of, really great first step. Or just that rather than the distance, maybe I'm going to be out for 20 minutes. Really, again, coming back to music, just any first outing is a tick, and that's your kind of day one, and just building very, very slowly and very gently. And I think we've all had that feeling of, I couldn't possibly run 5 minutes without stopping, forget a 5K. I mean, 5K to me, at certain points in my life felt like, what? But the progress is quite... You'd be surprised. I think once you incorporate it, it's like any habit, isn't it?
Running is so good for that. Like whatever you put in, it will give back to you. It's a very faithful friend.
But walking is okay. Walking is okay. Walk, run. There's a lot out there about the walk, run method, and it's absolutely valid and allowed. And again, I'll always say it. I this morning went for my run in my 5-year-old leggings and the t-shirt that often doubles up as a bed t-shirt. I never really had a proper kit.
But it is worth. The one thing it is worth
in trainers
spending money on is not spending. You don't have to spend huge amounts of money on, but you go to a shop like Runners Need, and they're all over the country, and they will put you on a treadmill, and and they've seen every type of runner, every shape, every size. People that have no fitness whatsoever, and they're non-judgmental. They don't give a toss. They've all been there themselves, and they will
analyze your gait,
and tell you what proper kind of shoe and they'll advise the kind of shoe that you should wear.
Absolutely,
and that makes a big difference.
Yeah, because if you buy the wrong shoe, because if you've got if you roll your ankles in, or if you've got all this, if you have the wrong shoe, you can become more injured, or if you're not being, you need something to stabilise you and things like that. So it's worth it. But the cost per wear, it will pay off.
I do think maybe rather than I'm gonna run this far, maybe just look at the clock and think I'm going to be out for half an hour.
And
really slowly.
And Tasha, no one is looking at you.
No. Yeah. Absolutely.
I think following different types of runners as well on Instagram. I follow I follow so many different plus size runners and people that don't, that you wouldn't classically believe are runners, and it's really I find that really helps, because when you after a time you see so many, one of my favourites is Scotty is fat. I think that's
glorious, absolutely glorious.
And when you've seen, their posts pop up a certain amount of times and you start to normalise, you're like, oh yeah.
Can I just say one more thing actually that I've just thought? For Tash, if you're thinking of, what should my first kind of goal be? Would it be Couch to 5K or this or that? Actually, maybe kind of you could set yourself a target of, I think doing a charity race is a lovely, like a race for life.
That was
they're all
first.
over the country, and the 5Ks you can do, because you're going to get that, again, you're going to have that purpose, you're going to have that reason, that why, you're going to raise some money, and those events, those runs, the atmosphere is so lovely because everyone's there. They're doing it from the heart,
very nice. They're a nice thing at the end. They're wonderful. And joining a local park run is great. There's always people who just walk it. They might be walking with their dog or their buggies or whatever, and just seeing the smiley faces and being part of a absolutely wonderful.
Apparently park runs are the new dating kind of...
I heard that.
I might just head down to a park run.
Oh, yeah. Well, this leads us nicely to the next question from Rosie, who says, I've done a few UK 10Ks and one half marathon, but I'd love to travel and make a trip of it. Are there any international races, especially women-focused or fun ones, that you'd really recommend?
Oh, well, I saw recently that there are 10Ks and half marathon women only in Spain. I'll send the link through. So that might be it. You could get warm, excellent food.
I do think making a trip out of like going away. Last year, my husband and I went to Rome for the weekend to do a half marathon. And it was just such a fun, nice and fundamentally wholesome thing to do, where I was like, wow, I'm not spending my weekend just in like nightclubs or pubs or whatever I would have normally. But they're, just going around and using it as I do find that the further you get into the running community, the bigger your world becomes.
Absolutely. I did the last 2 marathons with I stayed with Sports Tours International, and they're awesome, and they have hundreds of people doing these international half marathons and marathons, and you can share a room or you can do a room by yourself, but in the morning you sit down to breakfast and you're like, oh, how are you? And it's full glorious nerdy runners, and you do little warm-up runs together, and I was like, this is me now. This is my I get and I've made friends through doing that, and it's like, and lots of people come by themselves, and everyone's like all in the same boat. It's great. So there's so many, and you can just, if you even just Google like women only races, I think there's a women's only half marathon in New York. If you're going to carb load, New York is a nice place to do it.
One tip that I would give to like people is to check. I think the larger the race, the kind of more inclusive it's going to feel.
Yes.
So, because you can get lots of half marathons and 10Ks that are very kind of like hardcore run club people, and they've got like cut-off times, right? If something has I always look this up, and every kind of race will tell you what their cut-off time is. But if there's a half marathon and the cut-off time is less than 3.5 hours, I'd avoid it, because it's not going to be that inclusive.
No.
Right.
So I think there's a really good like things that you can tell kind of that, and like, because, signs that this is an inclusive race and it's going to make everyone feel welcome. Because there is nothing more affirming than doing a race and suddenly seeing all the different shapes, sizes, types of people that take part in them. I think that is like one of the most brilliant ways to kind of remind yourself that running is for everybody.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
You want it to be a race where it's like, if you want to walk it, sure.
That's why the London Marathon is the most special out of all the marathons I've been to, because there'll be rhinoceroses, there'll be people holding a fridge. It's so different to any other one in the world, and I love it. There's every age, every shape and size and background, and all.
Crowds are amazing, aren't they? The cheers and the
good stuff.
Right, last question is from Emily, and she says, this might be a daft question. No daft questions on the life of Bryony, Emily. This might be a daft question, but I've never been running before, and I honestly don't know the basics. What do you do if you need a drink or a wee mid-run? Do you just stop and go into a cafe? Yes.
Do you remember when I started running with you, and I remember one of the things, it took a few months for it to register, that I would always come out with a bottle of water, because I thought, well, I've obviously got to take water. And then I remember sort of learning, and probably you saying, you don't actually, once you realise you can run a 5K without water. It was a bit of a kind of crutch, and of like, well, I must surely.
I mean, it depends, doesn't it, where you're running, Emily? If you're running in the countryside, I would take, and it depends how long you're going out for. If you're going out for a 5K, you'll probably be okay.
You'll be all right,
But then, of course, there is the thing of like people that take gels for the first time if they're going out for long runs. My tip would be take a gel at home first to get your stomach used to it.
Yes.
Because you do hear horror stories of people taking their first gel in the first 40 minutes of a long run and shitting themselves.
Yeah, it's not a nice feeling. I remember once I was running along the canals in Leeds, because I go running when I'm on tour, and I was like, oh no. I had to go behind a bush and do number 2s.
Really?
Yeah, not fun. Not a fun thing. So just be careful. But I've been running for 7 years, and it's the only time that's happened. So yeah,
I remember before that in 2019, that Celebrate You 10K, I had the heaviest period.
Oh, Bryony, you poor darling.
And I had to like empty my moon cup about 6 times between the like getting up the start line, and anyway, it was terrible. But also, and I remember Jada handing me, like, she basically, like, I'm not going to go into the detail, but like some tissue paper to kind of like pad out, and I was just in my underwear, so it looked quite, you know,
because we had to wear the underwear with our names on it, so they were quite a light fabric too. That is not an absorbent. No, not
it's
at
not
all.
A period pant.
No.
Yeah, but there's all sorts of stuff now.
Yeah, they are. I always run now in these pants called Nixie Bodies, which have got like an absorbent gusset.
So not just for periods, but also for like
they're sport pants. So like if
you wet yourself a bit.
Yeah, because it can happen. Like also, I always found the third sneeze. If I'm running along, I have 2 sneezes, fine. Third sneeze,
that's it.
Look out.
And can we just discuss, as I remember Deborah saying, knickers or no knickers? Some people don't wear.
What Debs did you...
I've got
no pants.
There's a WhatsApp chat the night before we did the virtual, and the big question was knickers or no knickers.
Well, knickers.
Because
knickers.
Hang on. Did she do it without pants?
I can't remember what her decision was.
That's so Debs, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It was like that was the big heated question. Well, I think maybe for ease. I think she was thinking about ease of loo breaks and things, but I don't know.
I like to feel supported down there.
I wear underwear.
Yes, they're good. They're very good.
They're good for the old chaffage. And I think, and actually you can buy like shorts if you worried about the chafing. You can buy like pant shorts.
Yeah.
Oh my God, we've done
fantastic.
There's a lot of chafing chat.
Gear, but I can't run without my Nixie Bodies because they're having a bit of padding there. It's nice, like little cushion, little cushion for your panini. It's very nice.
On that note, thank you, Emma and Helen. A bit of cushioning for your panini. That's it for this week's bonus episode. I'm exhausted just talking about all this running. Massive thanks to Helen and Emma for their warmth, wisdom, and general good vibes. And to all of you who sent in your questions, please keep them coming. Until next time, be kind to yourself, and I'll see you out there pounding the pavement.